Hey, everybody. Happy, what day is today? Wednesday. This is Erica from In the Company of Cards. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here for a while, welcome back. Appreciate your likes, share, subscribe, and the fact that you spend your time with me when I do these videos. I really appreciate it. Just as a reminder, I'm the author of The Language of Lenormand. You can find it wherever books are sold. I have a deck, I have a course. There is a More button. If you click the More button, um, it will let you know how to access all of that. So I think I added about seven things that I wanted to look at with you today. Uh, so I'll just go in the order that I've written them down in. The first was a viewer question, and it was about Keisha Lance Bottoms. She is a Black woman, Black politician. She's wonderful, and she is running for governor of Georgia in 2026. And my viewer wanted to know what her prospects looked like in terms of that governor's race. So again, I will remind you that you know, things can change. We have free will. Time is mutable. But this is a snapshot. Every reading I do is a snapshot that, you know, given the current circumstances, what can I see in terms of what's coming in? So if circumstances change, then what the cards will see will change, obviously. Just so when I look at questions, they're either viewer questions or they're questions that I have. While I may or may not have opinions on these questions, what I'm doing on this channel is consulting the cards. So it's a little bit of a futile exercise, for example, for me to draw on a particular question and then you to, um, you know, say, well, that's not right. I heard blah, blah, blah. You may be right, and I may be wrong. All I'm doing is consulting the cards. So that's the purpose of this channel. It's also to teach you a little bit about Lenormand. I am consulting the cards. You may, if you've been a long time watcher, you will realize that there are times when I will ask a question of the cards and get an answer, and I'm like, what? Where I am taken aback by the answer, or maybe it's an answer that I don't like. And I will make that clear. Oh, I don't like that. But nevertheless, the cards say what the cards say. So you don't want to waste your time arguing with the cards, because what are you doing? Why would you argue with, I mean, it's the cards. Um, I have an opinion, you have an opinion, and there is then the information that I get from the cards. Those can be three things that are all the same, or they can be three things that are completely different, or two of the three can agree with each other, right? So this is a card reading channel. I'm reading the cards. Okay. So Keisha Lance Bottoms, we will use, she's still young-ish, I think, probably, I don't know, 40s maybe 30s, but I think 40s. I'm going to use, but she's got gravitas. And so because she has gravitas, I'm going to use the older woman for her. She is a seasoned politician, seasoned public servant, and so we will use the older woman for her. And I want to know, how will she fare in the gubernatorial race in Georgia coming up in 2026? So this is question number one of about, I think I have like seven questions today that I'm going to look at. Okay, so we're looking for Keisha Lance Bottoms, and we're going to use the older woman for her. Okay, so there she is. Okay. So you have the house, the older man, Keisha Lance Bottoms, we have the fish, and we have the ship. So let me put them back and then say what I see. I do think that there will be someone in the White House, and I don't know that it will be 47, and we will get to why I think that later on, but someone there who will obviously oppose uh, her election. I think Governor Kemp is there now. I don't know if he can run again. I feel like he can't, but he may have someone who he wants. But I do think that um, Keisha Lance Bottoms will be well funded so that she can move forward. Now, those were the five cards, and I thought, well, that looks really good, but I don't want to be irresponsible. And I thought, well, let me draw some clarifiers just because clearly, nothing is as easy and straightforward as each of us would like it to be. So let's look at it in a more nuanced way. So I looked at this person. Again, this would be the Republican challenger. It could be whoever is in the White House at the time. And the clarifiers are the rider, the crossroads, and the fox. So I think that whoever is in power, again, either in the White House or Governor Kemp himself will still be governor at that point, will want to send a message that will steer people away from her. And they will do it in a very kind of underhanded, sneaky way. Could have to do with votes and and gerrymandering and just making things difficult, voter ID, all that, making it difficult for people to vote. So she will be up against that. Here she is in the middle, and the clarifiers are the moon, the clouds, and the child. They will, of course, try to cast aspersions on her character, right? They will make up stories about her that will make people doubt her character and imply that she is not up for the job. Of course, she's more than qualified for that job. I do think, as I said, that she will have good funding from the Democratic Party. Stork is about positive change. I like that. But the thing is, it's followed by the snake. And it could be something that comes out of the blue because Clover can be a surprise. So when they see how well she's doing, how well funded she is, how popular she is, how unpopular whoever her opponent will be, they will try to do something sneaky and bad and quick to her. And again, it could very well be reputational that they try to somehow malign her reputation. That's what they do, right? That's politics. We had the ship at the end, which was great. I mean, it made me feel like she was going to sail forth into the governor's mansion, that this was going to be good. But I pulled some clarifiers for that, and I have cross, garden, and star. Now, I still think, I mean, the three out of these four cards are very good. This is forward movement for her. This is the people wanting her to be part of their future, for her to be, um, you know, the person in charge in the governor's mansion in Georgia. But what's interesting is that the second card or the first clarifier of the ship is cross. And I will just say that this will be no walk in the park for her. This will not be easy for her. There will be sacrifice required of her, as there is of every Black woman who um, steps onto a public stage. I mean, I know this firsthand, when you get accused of being arrogant or uppity or pushy or whatever it is. So there will be some sacrifice, particularly if, as I saw in the rest of the reading, her reputation, they try to besmirch her reputation. So, but also if you're doing public service right, there is some sacrifice attached to that. But I do like the way that it ends with the garden and the star. And I can mirror these cards with that first card, which is the governor's mansion. I do think she will win, but it will be no crystal stair, as they say, getting to the governor's mansion. They will make it a hard fought race. Okay, but I do think she will win. Okay, the next question. So this was about the fact that currently, I think we're up to now three judges. I know it's at least two, but I think it's also three. Three judges who have reprimanded the DOJ and 47 for this push to, that they've made this appeal that they've made to the courts to unseal the grand jury testimony in the Epstein case. All of these judges, and the one most recently was Judge Berman this morning. All of these judges have said, wait a minute, wait a minute. Your request does not meet the criteria for why a grand jury testimony would be unsealed. Now, A. B, you've got 10 times more material already in your possession that you could release. So why are you talking about the grand jury testimony? And three, to all the judges who have considered this, they all say this feels like a red herring. And a red herring meaning look over here and not over there. So it looks like you're trying to pull the wool over both the court's eyes and the wool over the public's eyes by saying, well, we tried to get the grand jury testimony, but the courts wouldn't allow it. You knew from jump that the courts wouldn't allow it. So why don't you just release what you've got? So I guess what my question is, will the Epstein uh, saga, um, will it will it grow? Will it fade away? Um, I think I'm going to use birds because birds is like, word on the street. And the Epstein saga is the word on the street. I want to know what is the future of that? Will people get bored and move away from it or not? Um, so let's use birds for the Epstein situation. Will it die down or will it only grow in people's minds? Okay. So we're using the birds. Birds is talk, gossip, word on the street, etc. And it will stand for the Epstein saga. I just pulled a few clarifiers. So we have the moon and the bouquet. We have the birds. We have the snake and we have crossroads. So I'll talk about them and then I'll talk about the clarifiers that I pulled. So, people want to know what the real deal is. Who are people really? Like all of the the actors involved, right? Of the politicians and the athletes and the business people and the Hollywood people and the da 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 da. Whoever was part of this Epstein web, people really want to know. We want to be awarded with the truth about whoever these people are. Even even if, and there is no if, because I mean, obviously, even even when it will come right to the door of you know who. People want to be gifted with this true information about who's really who. Who are the bad guys? Who are the good guys? Because we've been told one thing, but it looks like it's another. We want to know this. We have the Epstein saga in the center, and I think that it will continue to dog him and his administration. And people will choose to go a different way from him because of this. Because it looks like what it is. It's just avoidance and obfuscation and delay and and it gives it an impression of guilt. So I drew clarifiers on the snake, and the clarifiers are the book, the cross, and the whip. So this is a problem. They try all of these tactics, and one by one by one, they don't work. And the public still doesn't know. Remember the book, even though it's a book, and even though books hold information, in traditional Lenormand, the book stands for things we don't know. Lots of times, things that we don't know because they're hidden from us. So here's the hidden things. This is a problem with that snake. This continues to cause pain and angst and arguments and dissension. So this is problematic. I mean, if you listen to Joe Rogan, who's got millions and millions of followers in the manosphere, he's saying, wait a minute, what are you doing? Why are you, what's the delay? What's the holdup? We need to know. So he could be really operative in causing 47 even more pain and creating more and more dissension in the ranks about this subject. You know, this is the one thing that all sides agree on. Left, right, in the middle. Where's the file, Pam, that was on your desk? So I can mirror these two. The talk will be harsh, argumentative, problematic. It will continue to be a thorn in 47's side. People will indeed choose to move away from him because they will continue to doubt him. Doubt him because he shows up. Here he is. Uh, and, you know, Ghislaine put all this in motion, really. She knows a lot about not just who 47 is, but who all the players are. So this will not die. This will not die. We know that there are people who are speaking to the congressional committee. And then, so, on the congressional committee, of course, you've got Democrats and you've got Republicans. So you'll have the Republican come out and say, oh, yeah, nobody knew anything. Trump wasn't implicated, nothing. And then you have the Democrat come out and say, that's not what happened. That's not what was testified to. That's not the whole story that we heard in there. So it's not over. On the same subject. So this is interesting. So you remember Dan Bongino. I mentioned him, I think, last week. He just kind of came up on my radar. And then here he is this week on everybody's radar. Now, why is he on everybody's radar? Well, I heard two things. One was that, remember he left work early. I think it was on maybe a Thursday or whatever. Didn't go in the next day. And people were like, did he quit? And then it seems that 47 had a conversation with him. We don't know what was said, but Bongino showed up again at work. So he's been at work, but he's been eerily silent. Remember that Bongino left his very, very lucrative podcasting gig where he made his bones, his claim to fame was saying that there was, some sort of democratic cabal in the pizza restaurant in the basement where Hillary and company were pedophile, whatever, that whole thing. So when he got this job, which is the second in command at the FBI, he left his podcasting gig so that he could go into the FBI and get to the bottom of things, right? Well, all he's been met with is stonewalling. So that's why he left mad in a huff. We know that he's had words, that's that whip card, with Pam Bondi over this. Well, so I heard two things this week. One was that he quit, that he quit again and for good. But come to find out, that's not true. He didn't quit, but, and this is a little confusing, someone was just named the co-deputy director of the FBI, where before there was only one deputy director. We had Kash Patel, who was the director, and then Dan Bongino, or whatever his name is, Bongino, was the number two. Now there's two number twos. And this second number two was appointed by 47, and his name is Andrew Bailey, and he is the Missouri Attorney General. Excuse me. Um, he was given a really effusive welcome by some in the administration. Dan Bongino just like tweeted or something, welcome, with a couple of American flags. But I mean, why would you have a co-deputy director unless you feel like you need somebody to um, be the watchdog over Dan Bongino? So I guess what I want to know is, will Bongino stay in his position, or will he read the handwriting on the wall, which is that he's being dog walked, that he's being supervised, and be so affronted by that that he quits and goes back to his podcast and spills the beans about what he knows? Because he now knows a lot as the second in command in the FBI. So what is Dan Bongino's plan moving forward? I'm going to use the young man for him because he's very fiery tempered and intemperate. But on the other hand, you know, he thought one thing earnestly, apparently, and now he's seeing what we're all seeing, which is what a crock of lies the administration is putting out, allegedly, and for entertainment purposes, about this Epstein situation, and he's mad. So what will he do? So we're going to use the young man for Bongino again, especially, I know I just looked at him, but now that he's got a minder, I'm just curious whether things have shifted. Okay, so we're looking for the young man, and that's Dan Bongino. And this is question 3 of 7. So we have the star, we have the mice, we have Bongino, we have the birds, and we have the cross. So, as he thinks about what next things to do, I can mirror this future card. What do I do next? By the way, this is also the card for podcast, the star. It's like it's YouTube, it's TV, it's radio, it's the internet. So that's what this is. And I can mirror this when I think about his future. If I call this the future, it's mirrored by the cross. I think he thinks he doesn't have a future at the FBI. Now, if we want to morph this into meaning something else, which we can do if we're looking at it with a different card, we can look at it with the second card, the mice. I think that he's afraid to say what he knows on the air. As impetuous as he is, I, I'm, I think he's been put on notice of some kind to be careful what comes out of your mouth, what you gossip about, what you disclose, because this is the card for gossip, talk, chatter, whatever he would say on a podcast. I think he's afraid to say what he knows. This has become dangerous for him, I think. Here we have Bongino in the center, and the clarifiers are the tower and the mountain and the fox. I think he feels like he is all by himself, the only one trying to call things out because everybody's too busy trying to cover for 47 in the administration. So he feels alone, isolated. Also, they're not telling him things because obviously they don't want him to go, quit in a huff and then go tell whatever he's been told on his podcast. So he's being blocked from information and played. He's being played. You want to stay, Dan? No problem. You can stay. Oh, here's your reminder. No lesser a personage than the Attorney General of Missouri. Shake hands, boys. I think he's been played and been made to look foolish. Uh, then we have the birds, and the clarifiers are he, the coffin, and the moon. I don't know. I feel like he really wants to talk. He really wants to say what he knows. He really wants to. But, you know, I just think it's dangerous for him. And I think it's been made clear that, accidents can happen. So this is tough for him. This is painful. He is disillusioned about a lot of things, including the FBI, including 47, including Cash Patel. He is disillusioned, um, and just feeling beset and beleaguered. This is not this is not good for his health, his emotional health, and health in other ways has been, we'll just say, he's been warned. Um, and then here's the files. So I feel like he's having quite the dark night of the soul. He's got to decide whether it's better to go along to get along and just, sign on to the party line. He's got to measure that and weigh that against the fact that, he had an incredibly popular podcast and people were counting on him to get to the bottom of the Epstein thing? And will his reputation be damaged kind of no matter what he does? So I don't envy him his position. Okay. The next one. So I don't know if you're aware, but apparently the numbers of registered Democrats is not increasing given everything that we're experiencing. It's decreasing. And that's because uh, people have felt as though, okay, 47's not great, but what can we say about the Democrats? Because what are they doing? Now, again, they have sort of come back to life, and they're some are doing some good work and making some loud noise, and that's great. But the fact of the matter is that the number of registered Democrats nationwide has fallen. So with that in mind, and this is well in advance because I keep a reminder on my calendar. I mean, yeah, on my phone. And we have 439 days until the midterms. Um, but and time is mutable, things can change, we have free will. But I just want to know how does each party look when it comes to the House? Who will win the House if the election were held today? So I'm going to pull three cards for the Democrats, and then I'm going to pull three cards for the Republicans. And as of today, what does the energy say about who would win were the election to be held today? Who would win the House? Okay, this is Democrats and this is Republicans. All this redistricting monkey business that's going on is not great. This is the Democrats and this is the Republicans. Well, you know, I think it's too close for spirit to call right now. Again, we are 436 days out. I decided to pull just in case things were, in case I saw something that was really super clear. Um, Democrats, the letter, the ring, the rider. Here's what I suspect. These are votes, and there would be recounts and recounts and recounts. And that would be the message is that, you know, we need to recount. And then for the Republicans, the bouquet, the anchor, and birds, that they would win the day, stay the party in control. Um, and that would create a lot of buzz. People would say, okay, if this is happening at the midterms, how are we going to win anything in 28? So I think that um, I don't like what I see, but I think I'm pulling it uh, so that I'm hoping that it'll be considered, whoever watches my channel, as a cautionary tale. It's insufficient to have a few governors coming out and being brave, a few Texas um, legislators doing a brave thing. People really need to mobilize in all the ways because and starting right now, because if not, uh, if the election were held today, I hate to say it, Republicans would hold the House. So forewarned is forearmed. Yes, that's another one of my mother's many sayings. Okay. Um, let's ask this question. why is the number down? Like, why is the number of registered Democrats falling? Let's not assume. Let's ask the question. Why is the number of registered Democrats falling? And I'll let Spirit pick all the cards for this one. And then we're going to move on to 47's health, which I promised I would do today. Okay. Why are the number of registered Democrats falling? Why is the number falling? We have the tree, we have the snake, the scythe, the sun. This is Harris. The party elite, and this is Biden on down, were very, very slow to back Harris. She had 104 days to, stage a campaign. When most people have, what, 4 years, 3 years? She had 104 days. She also has a book coming out called, I think it's called 104 Days. I don't know, I pre-ordered it on my Kindle. So, and I think she will talk about the dysfunction that she's alluded to on Colbert, etc. This will not speak well of the Democratic Party. And I am not blaming her. I am saying that here's the thing. Second card, I mean, I'm saying she was done dirty by everybody except the 92%. I'm just saying. And please do not come in my comments saying, well, I'm not in the 92%, but I voted for her. Okay, good for you. If the shoe doesn't fit, don't wear it. I'm saying 92% of Black women voted for her. And then she was done dirty by a great percentage of other people. We'll just leave it at that. Uh, I think we will come to be made aware of of the degree to which she was undermined. And I think people feel really disappointed. Like I know I see it in my comments that people are, they're disappointed that I'm not saying something like, oh, newsflash, it's been uncovered how the Russians colluded with Musk and 47 and cheated in the election, and there's a whole document that proves the case, and Kamala will be inaugurated next week. That's not how it works. But we know that she was done dirt. 104 days? Come on. Uh, the card that's in the center is always interesting, right? When I have Spirit draw the cards, well, regardless, I don't know what it's going to be because I'm not picking a significator, right? The scythe. Um, people don't know, well, what is the party? Like, what do they stand for? More than what do they stand against? What do they stand for? Um, does something need to be mown down so that something else can rise up? Why are they fighting against Mamdani, who was the elected, um, the nominee, he was elected the nominee of the Democratic Party by the people for the mayoral race in New York, and yet you have all of these mainstream Democrats coming for his throat with their sights. That's not cute. That's not attractive, meaning it's not attracting anyone to the party. So it's as though they're kind of cutting off their nose to spite their face. They're chopping themselves off at the knees. And I'm all using all these cutting, chopping metaphors because we have a scythe here. They have undercut themselves in the eyes of the people. Um, and this is just very clear what a problem this is. It's not sufficient to be against something. What are you for? What are you going to do for people? Um, Let me draw a clarifier on the site. Yeah, people want decisions that are going to be made about the future by people who mean well, who care about people. This is a the card of the public servant, the best kind of public servant, and who are going to be aggressive in fighting for people in all the different ways. And the party has to make that decision. And they're not there yet. I think I alluded to this the other day when I read, prying the cold dead hands of the old guard off of the reins of power will be no easy task, and it will require a scythe. So until then, people are going to not register, or they're going to register as independent. I'm not, nobody's saying that everybody's running out and registering as Republicans. That's not the issue. The issue is, what has the Republican Party done for people lately? That's the question. And they need to look hard and long at that. Okay, two more, all related to 47. So he's been making some interesting noise lately, yesterday, about the odds, as he's estimated them, of his going to heaven. Now, what's that about? Does he have a sense of impending doom? Is he really not feeling well, such that he's thinking that he will be shuffling off this mortal coil? Um, does he know something that we're not being told? Or is it just because he's a man of a certain age? And even though we all know that our time here is limited, the older you get, the closer that gets. I mean, is it simply that? So why is he musing about heaven? I suspect that heaven was not anything that he's ever thought about before. I think because he is not the brightest bulb. Um, well, let me just say, he's surrounded by his religious team of advisors, like that Paula person, whatever her name is, the blonde. Of course, she's blonde. Who are very literal in their interpretation of the Bible, such that heaven is, you know, flowing with milk and honey and paved with gold. Sounds a little like not that great footing, but anyway. And hell, of course, is hot. Um, so he may say, "Whoa, that's what they're saying that it is," and they would know because they're the religious leaders who have, come to my aid and insisted that I am somehow ordained by God to play the role that I'm playing. Is he scared? Uh, why all this talk of heaven and his worthiness or unworthiness to enter the pearly gates? Let's let Spirit, since we're talking about heaven, pick all the cards. Well, no, let's not. Let's use the coffin and ask the question, is he having intimations of mortality, and where are they coming from? So we're using the coffin. Why is 47 all of a sudden Ubermensch that he wanted us to think that he is? Why is he all of a sudden talking about his mortality? Coffin. Well, you know, not quite, but almost. This makes me feel kind of bad for him. I am an empath, so I will forgive myself for feeling bad for him because we have the anchor, the cross, the coffin, the scythe, and the whip. I think he is absolutely weighed down by persistent, unrelenting, almost obsessive thoughts, repetitive thoughts about death. I think that he experiences any number of physical symptoms that let him know that he is in decline. You know, whether it's the zigzag way that he's walking, whether it's his memory lapses, whether it's the fact that he can't seem to hear well, whether it's the catheter that we see strapped to his leg, whether it's the poo we've seen in the back of his pants when he's golfing. Uh, he is experiencing a painful decline, and it makes him think about death. I can mirror the cross with the scythe. Uh, Now, scythe can be, death at somebody else's hands, but scythe is also things like injections. Scythe is surgery. But scythe can be like a mowing down. So, these three cards together, the cross, the coffin, and the scythe. I mean, and flanked by, again, this is the repetitive thoughts that he's had and the way he feels weighed down. Probably the middle of the night for him is a miserable time because he's alone, it's quiet, it's dark, and he's left with his own thoughts. He has put his odds quite low at getting into heaven, which is why he wants to have a peace treaty someplace, India, Pakistan, Cambodia, Thailand, you know, Israel, Gaza, Russia, Ukraine. Just somebody let him make some peace someplace so that God can smile on him and not make him go to hell, where I think he thinks that he is bound. So this is someone who is really experiencing a dark night of the soul, probably 24/7. Okay, uh, let's look at his health. And I'm going to look at the next 3 months. So I know we're, barely halfway through August, but um, let's look at, I think we don't have to worry about anything happening to, well, worry or whatever, however you feel about anything happening to him in August. But I would like to look at September, October, and November. So I think what I'll do is pull a card for each month and then a clarifiers for each of those months. I've done this before, but I'm going to do it again, and I'm looking at 47's health. I am not the only reader who has seen something coronary coming for him, um, something circulatory coming for him. So that could be coronary, or it could be a stroke, a cerebral hemorrhage, something like that. Uh, Something sudden and debilitating slash final coming for him in the not too distant future. Now, again, you don't have to be a reader to look at him and know that he's unwell, to know about his lifestyle and say to yourself, oh, he's not doing well. But we see that even he now is saying, uh, mm. The scythe, by the way, is also the instrument that the Grim Reaper carries. The Grim Reaper being the symbol for death. So, how's his health? So I'm going to pull a card for, what did I say? September, October, November. That's the first thing I'm going to do. So September, October, and November. Ooh, September, we get the coffin. October, we get the key. November, we get the stork. That's really interesting. So I'm going to pull three cards for coffin, three cards for the key, and three cards for stork. Okay. So for September, I mean, the coffin. The coffin is a coffin. The clarifiers are the star, the sun, and the clouds. So whether with the coffin at the head, his having a sunny future is in doubt. So I feel like in September there will be some serious decline. And he could pass in September. I had originally predicted October. Again, time is mutable. Things can change. And look at the increasing pressure he's under between the embarrassment with, well, humiliation with Putin, the undying nature of the Epstein scandal, uh, and his continued ill health. Things could accelerate. So what looked like might happen in October could well happen in September. The keys answer questions. We have the woman, the letter, and the lily. I think that what could what could end him, so to speak, is something to do with the Epstein situation. You know, he's an old man. Lily is the card for old man. There is Maxwell, and there is the file, the information that she has. That could be the bridge too far that he can't take. And then we have, so interesting, the last card is the stork, and the clarifiers are clover, cross, and mountain. So things getting better for him quick, fast, and in a hurry will not happen. I don't love, as a rule, predicting somebody's demise. I mean, I don't generally do it, but he's the one who said, you know, I don't think I have much longer and I don't think I'm going to heaven. I mean, I'm just going by what he said. I think this fall um, will be his last. This autumn will be his last. That's what I think. However that happens, I don't think it'll be at someone else's hand. Um, I also don't think it will be a long, drawn out thing. I think it'll be some sort of catastrophic event, meaning some kind of biological, internal catastrophic event. Like he hits his head, gets dizzy because he clearly has mobility issues, balance issues. Either he hits his head, or he has a stroke, or he has a heart attack. Um, but I think this autumn will be his last. I don't know that he'll make it to Thanksgiving. Again, I am just a card reader. Uh, Energy is mutable, but we are all mortal. Now, nobody gets out of this life alive. And I think he's just got a lot of pressure on him that we already knew about. Now, come to find out, it's this existential angst that he is feeling, which I think is a new thing for him. I think he thought he was immortal until his body showed him otherwise. So I think September or October will be it for him. All right. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you for all of your comments, your likes, your shares, your subscribes. They really mean a lot. Channel's continuing to grow. I thought that when I hit that 35K, that would be it, but we are we are we are growing, and I'm delighted. Um, if you enjoy being here, I'm happy to have you. If you don't enjoy being here, there's so many other uh, people who do this kind of work who might be more to your taste. But if you're here and you enjoy being here, I enjoy having you. So thanks a lot. And I will, tomorrow, I will be writing on Substack. Um, on Substack, you just go to substack.com and put in the company of cards. My Substack has the same name as this channel here on YouTube. And it's where I write once a week. I write on Thursdays now. And I use Lenormand. I use an African oracle called the Adinkra. And I also use tarot because I read all three. And I have these cards tell me what to talk about. And then I have them talk amongst themselves. And I sort of transcribe what they say. So, if you'd like to see some of the way that I write, I would go there. It's free. Um, and I will see you back here on Friday. All right. Take care, everybody.